All right, today we are diving deep into the NPAX architecture. This is a technology that completely redefines the line between a person and a machine. We're talking about transforming a suit of armor from something you just wear into a synthetic organ that you actually become. So, let's get right into it.
You know, this quote just nails it perfectly. It's the difference between telling a machine what to do versus simply being the machine. So what's the big hurdle? Why aren't we there yet? Well, it all boils down to this one fundamental problem that plagues pretty much every brain-computer interface out there.
It's called the analog to digital bottleneck. See, our thoughts, they're smooth, they're continuous, they're analog. But computers, they talk in ones and zeros, slow, chunky packets of information. It's like trying to explain a beautiful piece of music by just shouting out one note at a time. It doesn't work. You don't get an extension of your mind. You just get a faster typewriter. So to really break through this wall and make you feel like you're inside the machine, the NPX creators had to solve three huge problems. And the first one, it's the big one: control.
So yeah, that brings us to the first major breakthrough, what they call the biological safety catch. I mean, how do you give somebody the strength of a tank without them accidentally, crushing their coffee cup or the entire coffee shop?
Seriously, think about that for a second. Your brain is never quiet, right? It's a constant storm of random ideas, background noise, stray thoughts. So how in the world does the suit know the difference between you idly thinking about punching through a wall and the actual deliberate decision to do it? You can't have a multi-ton machine jittering every time you have a random impulse.
Well, the solution is just genius. It's not a digital password or some kind of voice command, it's a biological one. They call it the chemo-optical gate, and it's basically a lock that will not open unless your brain produces a very, very specific chemical signature, the unmistakable signature of pure high-level intent.
And here's how it works. It's so cool. When you form a genuine high-level intention to move, your brain floods that top layer of the implant with a neurotransmitter called glutamate. Right underneath, an enzyme layer instantly converts that glutamate into hydrogen peroxide. And that peroxide, that's the key. It's the only molecule that can slip through that protective middle layer to hit the tin perovskite at the bottom, chemically flipping it from off to on. It is literally a biological password.
So it's this perfect four-step handshake. You have the intent, which creates the key, which unlocks the gate, and only then do you get action. No stray thoughts, no jitters, just absolute deliberate control. But what good is perfect control if the machine is still lagging behind your thoughts?
And that brings us to the second pillar of this whole thing, calculating at the speed of light. See, for the armor to feel like it's a part of you, there can be zero lag. Absolutely none. The time between you thinking and the armor moving has to be, for all intents and purposes, zero. The NPA core gets its calculations done in about 10 femtoseconds. Let me just repeat that, femtoseconds. That's quadrillionths of a second. To try and put that into perspective for you, in the time it takes light to even cross this tiny processor, a top-of-the-line supercomputer is still just warming up, waiting for its first clock cycle to even start.
So how on earth is that possible? Well, it's because the NPA core isn't a computer like we think of one, at all. It's a crystal. It's called a diffractive optical neural network, or DNN. And all the insanely complex physics and math required to move the armor, it's not run as code, it's physically etched into the structure of the crystal itself. So when a particle of light representing your intent to move passes through it, the way the light bends is the answer. The calculation doesn't take time, it just happens, instantly.
I mean, just look at this comparison. It's not even a fair fight. We're going from milliseconds down to femtoseconds. We're going from slow digital packets to passive light diffraction. And maybe the most incredible part? We're going from massive energy consumption to basically zero. All the energy is used up front to create the crystal. After that, the calculations themselves are literally free.
Okay, so this takes us to the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this might be the most profound, most mind-bending part of the whole system. We've got perfect control, we have instantaneous speed. But to truly become one with the machine, you have to be able to feel it.
Right? This is the huge question of sensory feedback. How do you feel the rumble of the ground through a solid metal foot? How do you know exactly where your armored fingers are without even looking at them? That sense, it's called proprioception, and it is absolutely essential for us to move in a fluid, natural way.
So NPX solves this with this incredible concept they call endogenous insight. Instead of trying to mimic touch with, say, vibrations in a glove, it sends the raw sensory data directly into your brain. Think about it this way. If you just think about the taste of a sour lemon right now, you don't actually taste it, but your brain knows the sensation, right? It's kind of like that. The signal bypasses all your normal senses, so your brain doesn't see it as information coming from the outside. It perceives the armor's feedback as a thought, a memory, or a feeling that it generated itself.
So here's the nuts and bolts of it. Sensors all over the armor, measuring pressure, joint angles, you name it. They turn all that data into little pulses of light. That light zips up a fiber optic cable to the implant. When the light hits a receiver, it creates this tiny electric field that stimulates your neurons directly, and this is key, safely. It's a process called capacitive coupling, which means there's no physical contact. No current ever actually touches your brain tissue. It's a completely safe way to talk directly to the brain.
And the result is, well, it's profound. The armor doesn't just feel like a tool you control. It feels like an extension of your own body. You don't command the arm to move. You just decide to move. And you feel its immense weight, its incredible speed, and its raw strength as if it were your own flesh and blood.
So when you take these three giant breakthroughs, the biological safety catch, the light speed calculation, and this incredible endogenous feedback, and you weave them all together, you get something completely new. The armor really does stop being a tool and becomes a synthetic organ. And this integration is so complete, so seamless, that it allows you to multitask at the speed of thought. By using different colors of light, a technique called wavelength multiplexing, that same little crystal can handle dozens of different processes all at the same time with zero interference. It's like having a dozen different conversations at once and hearing every single one of them perfectly clearly.
Just picture this for a second. One color of light, let's call it channel A, is handling the incredibly complex motor commands for you to sprint at full speed. At the exact same instant, channel B, a totally different color of light, is feeding you sensory information about the crunch of gravel under your feet. And then, channel C is monitoring the suit's life support systems, but you don't see a number on a screen, you feel its status as a gut feeling, a deep intuition. And this is all happening at once, with absolutely no conscious effort.
So let's just recap. These are the three pillars that make true embodiment possible. The chemo-optical gate solves for control, the optical dawn kills lag and gives you instantaneous speed, and endogenous insight gives you that true integrated feeling of sensation.
And all of this leads to the ultimate goal, proprioceptive integration. That's the state where the line between you and the armor just dissolves. It's gone. You don't command the armor to lift a ton of steel, you just decide to lift it, and suddenly your muscles simply feel infinitely stronger. The armor becomes a part of your brain's internal map of your own body.
And this really brings us to the final massive thought. What we're talking about here isn't just about making a better weapon or a stronger machine. It's about fundamentally amplifying human capability on a scale that we can barely even comprehend. By removing that bottleneck between our minds and the world, we're not just creating a faster tool, we are creating a fundamentally new and expanded form of human agency. So the real question isn't just what can it do, but what will we choose to create with it?